Okay, guys, here we are. I had one egg in there, and with these two guys and the two shells, and I had them in the incubator, and then I went over to bring them out to do the video, and it was already out. That's good, because they do hatch in a really fast way after they pip for the first day, and 24 hours later, they're on their way out. You can see that the shells are very clean inside except for the feces material. You can see that the door was open perfectly round towards the towards the mid and upper section of the egg. This one I'll show you, they open like a door and they come right out if everything is done correctly during the incubation incubation process. Now when they leave the nest, there should be some eggs behind. They will eat some on occasionally. However, if your ducks are devouring eggs, breaking eggs in the nest, dragging them out, that is a sign of a deficiency. Usually now not only calcium, but a mineral deficiency and trace mineral deficiency. This can be easily resolved by giving them oyster shells. They're very inexpensive, very common, and just go around and ask, and your feed people will sure be supplying you or happy to find you some. Anyways, I want to explain that in a different way. Nutrition is vitally important if you expect to hatch anything. And I supplement. The reason I use oyster shells is because it is an ocean product. That is where all of your minerals are. And I will give you an example how it works in other forms. For an example, salmon swim upstream. They live in the ocean for a few years or whatever it is, depending on the subspecies. They swim upstream, they spawn, and they die. Their carcasses, when they die, is very natural. Everybody says, oh, it's terrible, they should go back. No. As their carcasses decay and die in these rivers, they are like, they are like fertilizing, you might say in a word, with their carcasses and all of their mineral nutrients that have made up the animal, the fish, will end up in that stream. So when other animals within the stream, within the area surrounding it come, they are getting minerals from the ocean in an indirect way through that salmon. If that salmon run is destroyed, then that eco-environment in that river will eventually suffer. Its wildlife will suffer in the long run because there's no nutrients coming up from the ocean. See the key. That is why you want to bring nutrients-rich products to your ducks. And what I do is I formulate my own feed products and I condition my birds that I want to breed from. They condition about a month prior to, then I start selecting those eggs for incubation. Once you got that, then your embryos are going to have all the nutrient value and the vitamins and all of that in that egg. Any shortage of any of them, embryos are probably going to die sometime during the incubation period. Humidity, too high humidity doesn't kill your ducks right off. It kills them when they're hatching because they're all swollen, wrong position, and stuck in the egg, and you're going to lose whatever percentage you lose then, and then since they're so full of water and they haven't lost any, enough of it, not the 12% I believe it is, they're going to hatch towards the top of the egg, and they're going to get stuck. And the ones you try to save, well, a percentage of them are going to die. So you keep your humidity correct. These were at 55% the first week. I candled on 7 days. I dropped it down to 45%, and it was there ever since. And I think in 1 week I didn't have any water in it at all. And then when it comes to the pipping day, I candled. Prior to pipping, it looked a little light, so I cranked the humidity up. You can crank your humidity all the way up if you've done everything perfectly. It doesn't matter at that point. The high humidity is going to be beneficial. It is not beneficial during the incubation period. It is only beneficial during hatching. Okay, do I need to say that again? I don't think so. So you guys are getting an education now. You're far ahead of most people out there, especially Matt and his whatever it is. Um, I don't want to see any more birds dying and destroying. There is no such thing as a C-section. The closest thing I could think to with a C-section would be an egg-bound parrot or some bird like that. It can't pass an egg. You only have so many hours, otherwise that bird's going to die. To take it to a vet, they will anesthetize the bird and take that egg surgically. That is the only thing I can possibly think of close to a C-section when it comes to birds. C-sections are mammals or humans, that kind of thing. It is not an egg. Oh, and they are not fetuses, they are embryos. I don't know, you know. Also in that Muscovy situation, there in the very first one, the lack of imprinting, when there was a slight noise, you could see the babies, how they would jump towards their own group or away from the mother. That was a clue. Those were not natural hatch, those were incubator hatch. Once these guys get the drying off period here, and come out of the incubator, the imprinting period is over. It's already fixed. You cannot imprint these on to anything at that point. They don't know. They follow big objects though, but they don't know it as if they were under the mother with that communication that takes place during this time and during the pipping time is the critical imperiod. Yes, it is called critical imprinting. So in the second video of his, you can watch the babies, and it was a startled noise. They bunch and they run towards that female. You can see the difference. If you look it up, you don't have to have a trained eye. Look at it a couple of times. You can see the difference in behavior. And that's what it's due to. That first hat was an incubator hatch, probably from the post office. I'm not just making shots. I'm not making wild guesses. I'm making an educational guess here. Not 100%, but I'm darn close to it. So that's the part, you know, if you start frauding things, that really turns me off. I mean, if you want to screw up your incubators, I understand. It might take you another 10 years. I don't know. At the rate you're going, probably will. But here's your answer. You don't have to call a vet. I've been to school, and I studied with pre-vet and pre-med students. I've had similar classes. When they get into veterinary school, they have maybe 1 hour of avian sciences. They don't have much. The avian vets, they specialize after they become a veterinarian. And the guy you called, the only thing he can do is just look up information. But the problem he's looking up is not ready to be looked up because you haven't solved this. If you've solved your humidity problem and your hatch is still screwed up, then call the vet. And I don't know. I wouldn't. I would call an extension office at Michigan State or some other state. Even Mississippi State is pretty good. And then go from there. And then you call the hatcher. And the hatcher, what you interpret is, oh, you said it pips and it starts turning right away. Well, if that's true and he told you that, it's time to hang up the phone. But I suspect maybe that's your interpretation. I don't know. But again, you're getting incorrect. I have all of the information you ever need. Well, anyways, I'm not going to get into that any further. This is for all you other guys out there. Anybody having problems, contact me. Give me a thumbs up on this, and I can help you with absolutely any hatching problem you have, a breeding problem, nutritional problem, whatever it may be. Like I said, if you want, I'm not going to say you're going to 100%, but shoot for 80, you probably will, maybe even hit 95% hatch. I also have a little other tricks, and not tricks, and I'm calling tricks, incubation techniques by using natural incubation on your chickens, which I will make a clearly important statement here. This is a natural process. You are using a mechanical device, a man-made thing, trying to imitate nature. So you have to become one with the incubator. You have to become one with the egg. You can't go by instruments. When it comes to humidity, you have to go by that air cell. You have to go by the natural process. You can't reinvent the wheel. You can see what will happen. I mean, if you like to form ducks and coming out the back end and spending hours and hours and hours peeling them, spraying them, misting them, and doing all that, fine. Go ahead. You know? It's ridiculous. And hatcheries don't do it. And hatcheries don't really have secrets either. So that'll be all it is. These guys got to go back into the brooder to finish. They're pretty much dried off. If they were under a hen, they'd be fluffed up right now. But again, the rest of them are going, and we'll make another video shortly.